what do you make of Ten Hag? Do you still have faith in him? Obviously, look, did a good job last season, not just on the pitch, obviously winning the League Cup and coming third, but in terms of all sort of the big problems in the club, whether it be the Maguire captaincy, the getting rid of Ronaldo, problems that you thought were maybe too big for him, he handled quite well. This season, for some reason, those problems, some people maybe are pointing the stick saying you haven't handled it well, whether it be the Jadon Sancho issue or others in the club. Still a big fan of Ten Hag, or are you starting to worry a little bit?
I think the players are not playing for him, and I think ultimately when that happens, the demise is there. I think there's only one place this is going to go. Now it's difficult because how many managers can you keep sacking? Clearly the club has a problem. And I hate to say it, but everything Cristiano Ronaldo said a year ago is actually the reality. So as much as Cristiano shouldn't have probably said it in the way that he did, he's not lying. He's spitting straight facts about what he was saying about the club. People didn't want to hear it. Oh, it's, you shouldn't say that about the club, but he loves the club. That's why he said it. So everything I think he said is coming to fruition. I think, again, this takeover is taking too long. I think Erik Ten Hag, when he came in, had to put out a lot of fires. Obviously, Mason Greenwood, Anthony, the Harry Maguire situation. Obviously, different circumstances.
Yeah.
But I think what I see from a footballing perspective, you look at what Ange Postecoglou's done at Tottenham in a short space of time. I know they've lost their last 2 games, Tottenham, but you can see the philosophy. You see they have an identity, and they've lost their arguably one of the best centre forwards in the world, Harry Kane, and they're still, flying.
Yeah.
And look at what he's done in a short space of time. I watch Manchester United now. I go to the games. I go and stand in the away end. I was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it pains me when the players are not even trying.
Wasn't what Ange doing what Ten Hag did last season?
No.
Wasn't that the feeling around the club?
No, I don't think that feeling's... I don't personally think... I mean, I could be wrong, but I go to enough games and I don't think that feeling was ever around. I know people were criticising Tottenham for celebrating like they do, but I think at the end of the day, the celebration police are out in full force, because why'd you play football if you can't celebrate when you win?
No, agreed.
So I think it's great when teams celebrate, and I think Tottenham Hotspur Stadium's been rocking this season, and fair play to them, they deserve a little bit of joy. But I think with Erik Ten Hag, I don't know, it just doesn't look like... When the players are not playing for you, I think there's only one way it's going to go, because I'm not having that these players are playing at their absolute maximum. Amrabat's come in. I know he's played at left back at times. He's been poor. Yeah. Which players at Manchester United? Højlund looks like he's got a bit about him. He looks like he's got something about him, but I just don't see anything, no identity. And there was times last year I thought, actually, I was at the Brentford away game. We were 4-0 down after 20 minutes. It was terrible. Brighton first game of the season, terrible. And then we seemed to find a way. Erik Ten Hag brought them in, ran them into the ground apparently, and then it seemed to work. People questioned that and said, it's not good for their recovery, but it seemed to get a reaction. But ultimately, do Manchester United have good enough players? The recruitment, bringing in players like Mason Mount, where has that come from? Most people would say he's not a Manchester United player. I said we should get James Maddison. People are telling me he's not a Manchester United player. I mean, come on. James Maddison, balling out of Leicester, really good footballer. Look at what he's done at Tottenham. I know he's out injured now, but if I could have got Maddison and Harry Kane, I would have got him. But they're saying, too much money for Harry Kane. Well, if you combine, it's not rocket science, Højlund's fee and Mason Mount's fee, couldn't you have got Harry Kane?
Yeah.
Daniel Levy might not have done it because it's Man United, but couldn't you have done that? Is that not the most basic thing to do?
You at least ask the question, don't you? You at least ask the question, put a bid in, let it get rejected. When you talk about the players maybe not playing for Erik Ten Hag, I guess look, the poster child for that at the moment, and you as a former forward can answer this for me, Marcus Rashford, 30 goals in all competitions last season, 1 goal so far in, 16, 17 games if you count obviously the Champions League as well as the league. What's happened to Marcus Rashford? That drop-off is too extreme. And I guess with forwards, it's easy to kind of point it because you can look at goals, right? Goals and assists are easy things to look at. And again, just the 1 goal for Rashford.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because when I'm on here and I spoke about Rashford last year, I said it's time for him to leave Manchester United because he looked the way he looks now. He doesn't look happy. And it's not just his goal scoring, it's the all-round play.
Body language.
He's poor. But then he went on the scoring streak. Everyone at the club wants Rashford to do well, but he's been poor this season. He said it himself last year. And I don't know the answer to that because, like I said, I was on here saying he needs to leave, and then he went on this amazing scoring run and he looked happy. But what I'm seeing with Marcus Rashford right now, he doesn't look happy. There seems to be something off at Manchester United because best believe when these players are signing for Manchester City, not just because they are the best, Pep brings them in and they seem to get better. Yeah. Players seem to come to Manchester United and get worse. That's a problem for me. How can these players come? When Bruno came in, he was brilliant. Then he seemed to fall into that dip. Amrabat falls into that dip. Mason Mount has never really got going. How many players have come to Manchester United and you thought, that's a great... We can go all the way back to Paul Pogba. Do you know what I mean? Getting players in and they just don't... You know, and Erik Ten Hag, let's be honest, he's brought in Malacia, Donny van der Beek.
Yeah.
He signed these players. These are not players that they've said, surely, you might have a director of football, but there's people that he's making decisions. They haven't just said, here you go, there's Mason Mount. He obviously wanted Mason Mount, Van der Beek and Malacia. And all three of those players, yes, Donny's been out with an injury, but they've been poor. He went out on loan at Everton and he couldn't get a game. So there's a problem there with recruitment. And I know people speak a lot about the directors of football and those types of things, but ultimately, the players are not playing for Erik Ten Hag. They're not.
Yeah, because they're good players there, and it's just not working out at the moment. I say good players, not including Anti into that conversation.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.